Hello. I'm going to run a test part on this screw machine, and if we zero in here on the area where the action is, before we start, I'm going to say this is the stock, which comes out of a rotating guide bushing. There are 5 tools around the perimeter for working on the side. I have loaded 3 of them. This is a cutoff tool here. This is a rhombic cutter here. Over here is a knurling tool. These 3 tools are end working tools for working into the end of the part, and they're basically just a pilot drill, counterboring tool, and back here is a thread forming tap as opposed to a thread cutting tap. So I'm going to start the operation. Now I'm just doing the cutoff with the cutoff tool. You see a little disc falling off here, just a true and end surface. This is 6061 aluminum with no coolant, obviously, just to prove the design. The machine just switched to the rhombic carbide to face that end. Now we're going to go over to the drill, and you see the stock come out toward the drill. And this is the trick of the Swiss lathe. The stock is supported by that rotating guide bushing. I'm doing a peck drill here now, where it drills so far and then it backs off the stock to clear the chips, and drills it in several stages. And this is just a final sort of a cleaning pass, which I'll probably eliminate. We're coming up here now to the counterboring tool, which is going in the first pass fairly slowly, because the pilot hole is just a little bit bigger than the counterboring tool. And then the passes start to go a little bit faster, taking off 10,000ths per pass. Let's see. And while this is working at it, let's take a look at some other features of the lathe. Back here is the secondary stock and a collet, the automatic collet closer. This entire headstock unit can slide with my fingers up here into the cutting area, so that when a part is done being worked on here, it can be picked off by the secondary stock, and then these 3 end working tools can work on the back side of the part. And they do call this, what's going on now, front side, well, this is a front side counterboring operation, but you have side working tools. Those are these 5 tools, and then end working tools. And this is an end working tool working on the front side. Let's back off a little bit to get a better view of the whole thing again. The lathe running, the lathe unit, and down beyond it there is the bar feeder. That looks like a tanning bed. It's about 10 feet long and holds bar stock, which gets fed into the lathe. As each part is cut off, it's dropped into this chute here and down into this basket, the parts collection basket here. Now we're about finishing up the counterboring operation, so it's going in now for the tapping, bridge tapping, going in there at a slower speed, withdrawing the tap, and then we're going to go back to the counterboring tool, and that's just to clean out that little tiny bit of a lip that the thread forming tap will place on the hole. Get a perfectly true surface at the bottom of that counterbore, and then the counterbore is withdrawn up the side of the counterbore, and then finally, when it reaches the lip of the counterbore, it will put a 45-degree bevel on the inside of the counterbore, just to remove the burr and for aesthetic purposes. In actual operation, this entire operation will take This entire sequence of operations will take a fraction of a minute. Now we're going back down to that rhombic cutter, which goes in and dresses off the face and starts to put a precision diameter at a fairly slow speed rate to get a nice smooth diameter surface for the knurling tool to come in. That's a little bit tricky knurling. You have to start with a known diameter so you know how much material is going to be forced up into the cutter or the knurl to end up with the right diameter knurl and nice formation of the little diamonds. Now we should come over to the knurling tool here. There we go. Going a little bit lower speed there. And it contacts the knurl. You see the wheels begin to spin and the stock advances a little bit through the knurls. And then they draw away. I should mention something down here at the side. We're going to go back to the rhombic tool here to finish, but I should mention these two cutters right down here. These are side working tools for actually placing a flats on the side of the part. You can put a milling cutter on there or a jeweler's saw type of an arrangement to cut slots in a part, or to drill a hole crossways through the part, or to tap crossways through the part. What it's doing now is just going across the surface very slowly of that knurl to knock off the top of the diamonds. It's kind of an optional step, purely aesthetic. Now we're taking some pretty aggressive passes. Put sort of a cone on the end of the part. That's what this part calls for. It's a little sort of a cone-shaped part with a knurl on it. So we're just going in and advancing X at the same time as we advance Z. You can probably see the X-axis sort of jerking back out here at the end of the pass. And as that cone takes shape, then we'll just go for a very slow pass. I don't know if you can see the chips or not. Extremely fine chips because we're going at a low speed rate. Just going down very slowly and getting a nice finish on the surface. And we're about done with that operation. Then we'll switch back over to the cutoff tool and go in nice and slow. And with this parts catching device, which I took from my wife's kitchen. I don't know why she had this nice parts catcher in her kitchen drawer. That will, the cutoff tool goes in slowly to get a nice cutoff on the end. And then the part is cut free. And parts catcher does its job. Now let's take that part out. And there we are. A nice taper. I don't know if this is a very good picture or not. This doesn't seem to be in focus in my viewfinder. But the part looks good.